most gamers, I'm pretty blooming lazy. Sometimes I want to play a new game without having to bother with an hour-long mission to and from the shops, so for me, the convenience of digital downloads is a blessing. The trouble with downloadable titles though is that they often lack the flair and polish of true full retail releases, so it's always a pleasure to play on an arcade game that really pushes the boundaries for downloadable services and gives us an almost retail experience without the hassle of having to move any further than the kitchen for a bag of Doritos and some jalapeno and red pepper hummus. Nom nom nom. Other brands of triangular nacho wannabes are available. Section 8 Prejudice, the sequel to Timegate's relatively unsuccessful 2009 release Section 8, is available now for gamers on the PSN or the Xbox Live Arcade. With graphics straight out of a Halo art book, the game looks impressive from the off, but it's never wise to judge a battle suit by its cover or something. Prejudice takes place directly after the events of the first game, and although it stays true to most of the gameplay aspects from the original, the developers have actually managed to improve on them and add a whole host of exciting new features into the mix. One massive change is that we get treated to an actual single-player campaign this time around, and I've got to say, for a DLG, it's very well done, but at 5 hours long it is pretty short, even though being a downloadable title means it does actually have a valid excuse for that. The missions, however, can get pretty tedious, with the go here, shoot that, hack that formula repeated up until the very end. Thankfully, there are always little twists to add a bit of difference to the proceedings, such as the unlocking of new weapons as you progress, and the ability to purchase and use vehicles such as tanks and mech robots. Thing is though, the single player campaign really is nothing more than an extended training mode for the online portion of the game, so you will probably only ever play through it once. While playing through the campaign, you will be shot onto the battlefield from an orbiting dropship, learn how to use your temporary weapon lock, and break the speed of sound thanks to your battlesuit's super sprint function. These abilities are carried over from the first game, but are still as impressive as the first time round. The weapons, however, seem a bit pathetic, and your assault rifles and machine guns are more pew pew than boom! Plus, the aiming could be slightly smoother, but it's really nothing that impacts the overall gameplay. In fact, the worst thing about the game by far is actually the dodgy voiceover work. Listen to this for a prime example of wooden acting.
Captain Cord reporting. General Stone, what did you want me to see? Is that Armed Commander Thorne?
We caught him trying to flee Atlas. His ship's computers contained almost 100 years of highly classified USIF intel.
How is that possible? The Arm is just a colonial militia. Even with an insider, they'd never get information that dated.
Oh man, even I could do better than that. Hey, actually, that's not a bad idea.
Captain Cord reporting. General Stone, you wanted to see me? Is that Armed Commander Thorne?
We caught him trying to flee Atlas. His ship's computers contained almost 100 years of highly classified USIF intel.
How is that possible? The Army is just a colonial militia. Even with an insider, they'd never get information that dated.
Maybe not then. Multiplayer is where you will get the most from the game, and although the modes available, Swarm and Conquest, can also be played offline, nothing beats the thrill of blasting down into the action with your mates backing you up. Swarm is another attempt to rip off Gears of War's successful Horde mode, but here the matches last for a set 15 minutes, and you and your squad are tasked with defending a control point from wave after wave of enemy troops. The higher the wave number, the more enemies there are, and the stronger they become. We've seen it all before, but Prejudice pulls it off well and delivers a very fun experience. Conquest mode is the big draw of this game though. It's a full-on 32-player mega battle where you fight to earn victory points which you can use to unlock your extra weapons, vehicles and turrets. Think Homefront in space with less angry Koreans and more angry robots, and you'll be pretty much there. Victory points can be earned in many ways, from killing enemies, capturing or defending set points, and also through DCMs. According to the game, DCM stands for Dynamic Combat Mission, and these DCMs consist of 9 different types of tasks, including gathering wreckage and assassinating certain opponents. It reminds me of Killzone's Warzone feature, with the shift in objectives, but with Prejudice it all seems slightly more confusing. With so many objectives going on at once over such a large map, the radar can get very cluttered, and as a byproduct, the game can be incredibly daunting during your first couple of playthroughs. But it's definitely one of those times where sticking with it will pay off big in the long run. Finally, I have to mention the free spawn system for Prejudice. You can choose anywhere on the map to spawn, and your soldier will be fired from your spaceship straight onto the battlefield. It looks really impressive dropping through the clouds, but the main bonus here is that it completely eliminates camping. A stubborn sniper may be a problem in other games, but here you can spawn and land directly on top of him, splattering him into the ground. Kersplat! Be careful where you aim your drop though, because the enemy team can deploy anti-air turrets which will vaporise you before you get a chance to even set foot on the battlefield. Even though the game is not perfect, especially when compared to a AAA release, Section 8 is still one of the best examples of a downloadable title to date. It's jam-packed with content, and shooter fans especially will find loads to keep them occupied here, and for the price you will pay for this game, it deserves to be downloaded right now. More of this caliber of downloadable games now, please developers.
Do not let him into that bunker!